nosso programa já vai começar. Mas antes, eu quero te convidar para se tornar membro do nosso canal aqui no YouTube. Por R$ 14,99 por mês, você tem acesso a conteúdos exclusivos, aprofundando os assuntos mais importantes do momento. E você já segue o IB nas redes sociais? O seu apoio é muito importante para nós. Desejamos a todos um bom programa. Bem-vindas, bem-vindos. O meu convidado hoje é o doutor Eliad Shraga. Ele é presidente do movimento que luta pela liberdade civil, pelas liberdades civis no plural, e contra os abusos do governo em Israel. Se chama The Movement for Quality Government in Israel. Dr. Eliad Shraga, welcome.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you for all the listeners and the viewer, and good morning for you. For us, it's afternoon, but to you in Brazil, it's good morning. So good morning, all of you.
And for you, it's almost Erev Tov.
Erev Tov, right.
Yeah, exactly. So, para os nossos, enfim, assinantes, só avisando que depois essa conversa vai ser legendada em português, mas a gente vai fazê-la em inglês. So, Dr. Eliad Shraga, I'm reading from your website. So the movement for quality government in Israel was created almost 35 years ago,
Right.
And it's been on the forefront of preserving Israel's democracy. So
Right.
describe to us and to our viewers what the Movement for Quality Government in Israel, MQG, is about.
So actually, 35 years ago, I understood the biggest threat on Israel democracy is corruption. This is the biggest threat on almost every nation on earth, and empire fell down because of corruption. Look at the Roman Empire, the Turk Empire. All the empires, in the end of the day, fell down or collapsed thanks to corruption. And we, as a little tiny country, we need to preserve our values and our democratic structure. And for us, to fight corruption, this is a question of death or life. And I decided as a young law student 35 years ago to stand on our rights and to fight corruption. And I established the Movement for Quality Government in Israel. This is a non-partisan, apolitical movement. We, since then, in the last 35 years, we face, 7 prime ministers, tens of ministers, Knesset members, mayors, presidents as well. I believe that that even one of our president, Mr. Katsav, served in jail. So unfortunately, we fought against all this corruption in the last 35 years. Actually, we are a watchdog movement in one end. We are using legal means and tools to fight corruption. We used to submit on a weekly basis petitions to the High Court of Justice in Israel against unconstitutional legislation and against evil which made by the administration in one end. On the other end, we are a protest movement. We are the one who runs the mass rally and protest against the government, which are trying to, do, and that we will talk a little bit about the regime coup that we are facing here in Israel. People here in the government wanted to turn Israel from liberal democracy into a dictatorship, into monarchy, autocracy, theocracy. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but we will speak a little bit about the situation afterwards. So we are running also, as I say, a protest movement. And on the third end, in our third arm, we are also an education movement. We do believe that we needed to pitch toward democratic and liberal values. You know, it's very easy to be fascist, to sell hatred. It's very easy. It's very easy fuel which fascist people do use. But to teach people about equality, about other liberal values, it's quite much more complicated, need time and money, and this is what we are doing as well. So actually, in one end, we are a watchdog movement. In the other end, we are a protest movement. In the third end, we're education movement. But the most important thing is that we are apolitical and non-partisan. We do believe that Israel need to remain liberal and democracy for everlasting.
So here said Israel is becoming a monarchy, so to speak, and the king would be Bibi Netanyahu. Can we say he's the most corrupt leader Israel has ever had or not? What to make of him and his situation concerning justice?
I'm not sure whether he was the most corrupt. Ariel Sharon was corrupt as well. Ehud Olmert was a corrupt prime minister as well. But Mr. Netanyahu is the first prime minister who wanna turn Israel from a liberal democracy into, as you say, monarchy, King Bibi, or theocracy. You know, all the rabbis wanna to make a theocracy in Israel. But just to remind to your listeners, in November 2022, we had election here in Israel, and the government which was elected is the or the most undemocratic government that we ever faced here in Israel. A group of a bunch of crook people did an hostile takeover on Israel. Unfortunately, our prime minister was indicted in 3 very severe indictments, including taking bribe by the attorney general. He had with him, somebody like Derry, who spent in jail, and other ministers like Ben-Gvir, who were convicted in the past. So actually, it's a bunch of crook and convicted people which promote nationalism, and they promote religious, very extreme parties. So all of them together stick together, and they run the state since November 2020. In January 2023, the Justice Minister declared, he called it a legal reform, but all of us knows that he declared on a regime coup. Actually, he wanted to knock down the judicial branch in Israel, and he believed that once the government will control the judicial branch, and also the government will control the legislative branch, the Knesset, actually they will control all the branches in Israel, and actually the prime minister and the government would do whatever as they want. They started to promote amendment in the basic laws. In Israel, we have no constitution, unfortunately. We have basic laws which can be amended in a regular majority. once you got a 61 Knesset member majority, you can amend the basic laws. And this is what they did in the last 5 years. They amend the basic laws 50 times. You must understand how outrageous it is. And, the biggest problem, in the end of the day, with the petitions that we submitted to the High Court of Justice, we succeeded to stop this regime coup. But our enemies look at us and they saw a very weak society, a fragile society, a divided society, and they took advantage on this situation. And this is why we face the bloody 7th of October. And this is why we're facing in the last 18 months a bloody war. And, after the 7th of October, the justice ministers and many other ministers say, wow, we did a very big mistake. We do understand that the regime coup was a very big mistake. But, after a year of a war, they changed their mind. Those days, we got a prime minister who spent in court much more time than he spent in the Knesset. Today, he started with his cross-examination, which will, just show how much he's not competent to be a prime minister of such a nation. We got a war. We got a bloody war. After 18 years, we're still in war. Leila, I got 6 kids. You can see part of them behind me. All of them are officers in elite units in the IDF. Just imagine that we are not sleeping, in the last 8 months, not me and not my wife, 6 kids in the army, in the war. This is something horrible. And meanwhile, although that we are having such a bloody war, we got again regime coup on a steroid. So the situation is really, it's a worse situation. We never face such a situation here in Israel. But, Israel is very strong democracy. You can see tens of thousands of people in the streets. We are in courts. We are in the Knesset. We are in the media. We do believe that Israel will need to remain a liberal democracy forever, and this is why we are struggling for. We won't let to dictatorship, to be part of our life. And I'm very worried, Leila. This is very, very complicated situation. We never face such a situation. But I'm optimistic. I always believe that the good guys will win in the end of the day.
Wow, it's good to hear that. Yeah. And what's your take on the whole Shin Bet imbroglio? The way Running Bar is leaving the Shin Bet, and now Netanyahu announcing the new director, but still, lots of controversy concerning this measures.
Listen, as I said, every day we got a new affair. Thanks God, the resignation of the head of the Shin Bet, thanks to our petition, were abolished by the Supreme Court. They find out that Mr. Netanyahu was in a conflict of interest. And this is thanks to the interrogation that the head of the Shin Bet is leading against our prime minister about the Qatar Gate affair. Just imagine how lunatic it is that all the people around the prime minister during a war getting money from Qatar to serve Qatar interest. And it's including to prevent from hostages deal to take place. This is so lunatic that nobody even can think how it can happen in Israel. And this is the reason why he tried to dismiss the head of the Shin Bet. I don't know what will happen in 2 weeks. The head of the Shin Bet said that he's gonna leave his post. I hope that he won't do it. Otherwise, we will remain without the head of the Shin Bet during the war. Mr. Netanyahu can nominate a new head of the Shin Bet. This is what the Supreme Court ruled. This is what the Attorney General just wrote down. So this is a quite a complicated situation. Now he wanted to dismiss the Attorney General itself. She is a lovely and gorgeous lady. She is really hero, and she really protect on the Israel democracy. And she stand behind our she stand behind all the rule of law in Israel and support the rule of law in Israel, and she is really thanks to her. But as I say, Leila, every minute we got a new affair in Israel, and this is what make us so frustrating in one end, so weak on the other end. Many people are really fed up from this situation. I mean, we are in the middle of a war, so stop all this nonsense. I mean, let's concentrate to win our enemies. We are fighting in 7 fronts, and meanwhile you are trying to take advantage on this situation, and you are trying to ruin our liberal democracy. So in one end, we are sending our kids to the army. On the other end, we spend days and nights in streets, in courts. This is outrageous situation, Leila. And I'm not saying anything politically. I mean, I'm just drawing the reality as it is.
Democracy-wise, most of Israelis, according to surveys, they don't want the war to go on. They want the hostages back, of course, and they prefer this war to end, right? But the government doesn't care. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And how do you see a way out? Just international pressure will stop this government?
Listen, I believe that if we will have an earlier election, we will find, most of the people fed up from this government. I believe that once we will have an election, we will have a new government and a new prime minister and new defense and justice ministers, and something will change. But Leila, the election should take place in 1.5 years. So this is a hell of a lot of time that the hostages can't stay in the tunnels so much time. I mean, these people are spending already more than 600 days in these tunnels, and the government doesn't do nothing to bring them back home. And this is something that we never faced before. In Israel, we used to say Israel arevim ze laze. We are giving warranty to each other here in Israel. All the Jews, we are sticking together. We are not leaving a wounded soldier in the battlefield. We are not leaving even a body in the battlefield. We are, we sworn to bring everybody back home. And those days we are neglecting our hostages there in the tunnels in Gaza. And, this is because only one reason: the government want to survive. And if Mr. Netanyahu will make one more bargain, one more deal to release the hostages. And if he will stop the war, he won't have coalition. So, because Mr. Ben-Gvir and Mr. Smotrich warn him that they will leave as a coalition. So you need to understand, this is again a lunatic a situation when the extremist parties are, actually maneuver and manipulate the government not to do what they need to do. And we need, first of all, to bring the hostages back home. This is our duty towards the family, towards the hostages themselves. Just don't forget that these people were neglected by the government. They were neglected. So the government can't leave them there anymore. But, as I say, once he will bring them back home and once he will stop the war, he will needed to give up on his coalition. And this is very, very outrageous situation. So maybe we will face election. Maybe the government will collapse thanks to the fact that he is not ready to recruit to the army the Orthodox people. This is something that we are in court about this issue as well. We do believe that everybody need to be under the stretcher. Everybody need to take part in this burden. This is very, very, very heavy burden to serve in the military. My kids are doing more than 400 days reserves already. 400 days. Can you imagine, Leila? This has never happened in all our history, that people spend so much time in the army in one end, and on the other end, the government doesn't do nothing to recruit all these Orthodox people to the army. This is, this is really, really, really outrageous situation.
Oh. So last year, your organization put together 25 Saturday protests, right? How effective are your protests and all protests, all demonstrations against the government, against the judicial overhaul, against the war?
It's not only against the, listen, this is not against most of our protest. It's not against the war. Yes. Listen, we got enemies all around us. We need to fight. So our demonstration is against the regime coup. We wanted to remain a liberal democracy in one end, and on the other end, other protests and other demonstration made by the families of the hostages. They've got the right, to fight for their kids. And this is all the demonstration all about. There are no demonstration against the war. The demonstration is against the regime coup in one end, and on the other end is towards bring back home all the hostages. So, this is something that needed to be very accurate, that people need to understand the situation in Israel. The war, we are ready to stop the war if we will get the hostages back home, and afterwards, the government will be able to do whatever they want. But first of all, we need to bring back home all the hostages.
Sure, but still, the government seems to, it doesn't care, and that's what
I don't know if it doesn't care.
Right?
Maybe I don't want to be that rude. Maybe they do care. But in the end of the day, they do care about their own interest, and their own interest is to remain in this coalition, to remain in their post, in their power. This is their own major interest, to remain in power. And this is not something that needed to be, part of their own consideration. Their own consideration need to be, first of all, to the benefit of the Israel state and to Israeli strength. And if we will leave behind us the hostages, no one will be in the future be ready to go and to fight for Israel. If the government will neglect you, and you will know deep in your heart that if something will happen to you, the state won't be there to take you or to bring you back home. I believe that this is hurts our national security. This is against our moral values. This is this is against what we brought up on. So people need to take it into their own consideration. The survivalness of a Bibi coalition. This is not something that we brought up on.
Mm-hmm. And last year, you blocked key elements of the judicial overhaul and safeguarding, the independence of Israel's judiciary. But how successful is this government managing to go ahead with this judicial overhaul despite the resistance of the civil society, including your
As you
organization?
said, I mean, we submitted in the last 2 years something like more than 50 petitions against against this regime coup. Most of them, including, I don't know if you're familiar with all these cases, but the reasonableness doctrine that they try to just knock down and take out of the tools, the box tools of the constitutional and administrative judges were abolished by a panel of 15 judges. I mean, this is an historical panel which ever wrote a verdict in Israel. So in most of the cases, they lost, Leila. They lost. I mean, they if they will need to sum up this regime coup, they failed till now. Maybe they will succeed next week or next month. I don't know. But till now, they failed with this regime coup because, thanks God, they didn't succeed to nominate judges to the Supreme Court. I mean, actually, they wanted to take over on the committee who nominate judges. And they wanted to nominate the judges that they want, that they call them conservative judges, not liberal judges, conservative, but actually they wanted to nominate judges that will accept all their regime coup. And thanks God, this is didn't happen. I mean, they didn't succeed. They failed to change this committee, and they failed to nominate judges. Even, we had 4 months ago, they didn't want to nominate Chief Justice to the Supreme Court. And we submitted a petition, and actually our Court of Justice forced them together, the committee who nominated judges, and forced them to nominate the Chief of Staff to the Supreme Court. So till now, Leila, they did not succeed. But, this is what we are afraid of, that maybe tomorrow they will succeed. Maybe tomorrow they will be able to knock down the judicial branch. Maybe tomorrow they will decide that we won't have election in 2026, November 2026. We don't know. I mean, we don't know where we're going to. This is why we need to stand firm and keep fighting, and to get support from you, the Brazilian people.
Yeah, that's my next question. What can diaspora Jews and people who worry about the situation in Israel, what can we do? What can people do? Donate or support? I don't know. I mean, join your movement.
I will be very glad if the Brazilian Jew will support the movement for hold the government in Israel. You need to understand that all the Jews in Israel all the Jew in the world. If Israel won't remain liberal democracy, the Jews all over the world won't have place in Israel, because they wanna now to amend the granddaughter and grandson clause. Yes, that everybody which is the grandfather and the grandmother were Jews, and his father is not a Jew anymore, so his grandson want to consider as a Jew here in Israel. So I believe that the Orthodox people doesn't want the conservative and the Reform Jew, and they won't recognize them as a Jewish here in Israel. So in the end of the day, Israel must remain liberal democracy. Israel must have constitution in the end of the day, which will protect the Jewry all over the world. This is why the Brazilian community, Jewish community, need to stand with us and need to protect on the liberal and democracy values that we are fighting for. We believe in equality. We believe in religion and freedom of religious, and this is something which interested you guys in the diaspora. So I will be very glad if your listener and your audience will support the movement, will contribute funds to the movement, and will keep in touch with us. And really, we will be glad to update the community in Brazil. I just was there, 1.5 years ago in Brazil. So it's you got a lovely country. But in the end of the day, Israel is your homeland. And I really hope that we'll stick together. And as I said, to all the Jews all over the world, Israel needs to remain a liberal democracy.
Dr. Eliad Shraga, thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you, Leila. It was really, really lovely meeting you. And thank you. And I hope to see you again, and keep in touch.
Sure. With pleasure. My pleasure. Muito obrigada a vocês também que acompanharam a nossa conversa, e até a próxima, gente.